basically, I led projects in Kedah, Perak, Terengganu, Kelantan, Pahang, in Melaka, in Negeri Sembilan, in Sabah and Sarawak. Yeah? So I am currently monitoring 23 different projects on regulations. Yeah? So this is another aspect of organizational interventions, which is quite new in Malaysia, but it has been practiced and been spread in Malaysia since 2013. But I have been engaging with these multiple projects, namely what we call regulatory impact analysis, looking and reviewing at all regulations, making some amendments, some repeals, and also creating new regulations. This is another area that I am venturing in, apart from other OD programs on PNQ, namely on productivity and quality initiatives. Yeah. So hopefully I will be able to share some of my experiences over the past, for what I did over the past 37 years, yeah, for the benefit of the younger consultants to be graduated from this particular class. Yeah, that's it. Dr. Gideon.
Thank you, Dr. Hisham.
Okay.
Dr. Hisham and I have been doing some projects together also, I suppose. So we've been close friends all this while. We play golf. So if
yep.
Once the MCO is lifted, then probably we may want to go somewhere to play golf. Our presenters here today, please come forward. Oh, okay. Afiza is here. Afiza, do you know how to share the slides?
Afiza, what you need to do is to open the file in what presentation mode, and then at the bottom you have the green button. You just share.
Share screen.
The share screen, yeah.
Thank you.
Don't forget to unmute.
Today is brighter. Yesterday was not so bright.
Prof, but then our members not here yet.
Our members are what? Yeah, they are on. We have 32 people already.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, I try.
35. $36. Wow, we have a very good class coming.
Okay.
37. Good.
Fiza, put it in presentation mode, Fiza.
Sekejap. Macam mana nak buka ni?
Can I have the phone? My phone inside the window. My phone inside the window.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam. So everybody doing well at home?
Assalamualaikum, Doktor.
Waalaikumsalam. Apa khabar?
So
all good.
Alhamdulillah, selamat berpuasa.
Thank you.
Prof sehat, Prof.
Alhamdulillah.
Ya. Oh, dah.
We have 37 participants, and I think some are going in and out because of the connection, but it's all right. Just keep joining because I can see the admission screen, so I can admit you anytime. So, do you think this mode works for us?
You can try first, Prof.
Okay. We have 39 participants so far. I think it's okay. You don't need to put it on presentation mode if you can't, because this is good enough. I think we can see the screen.
Okay.
Can everybody see the slides?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, doctor.
Afisa, is all your group members in?
I hope so.
Okay. Nazrina, Prita, Siti, can you just say something? If you have the red mute there, just unmute it. There should be a mute button on your bottom right, bottom left. Make sure you unmute that. I'm also recording this class. So if anyone wants to follow it later, I'll try to put it on YouTube and then have it linked through our WhatsApp. Rita, Nasrina, Siti Farizon, are you around?
Yes, Prof. I'm around. Our internet line is quite slow.
Yes, I understand some may have that challenge.
Maybe we can share the slide also inside our WhatsApp group.
Can you do that, Afiza?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, share already.
And those who have poor connection, you can still be in touch through WhatsApp.
Ada WhatsApp group.
Okay, we have the slides on already.
Doctor, some students are still waiting for your approval to join the meeting.
Maybe 2 minutes.
Baman.
Great, we have a very good turnout, 41 people.
Mana tu kakak ni?
Okay, Hafiza,
Yes.
are we getting Prita and Nasrina is down, right? To Farizan?
Yes, Prof, I'm here.
Okay, good. Are you ready to present?
Yes, inshallah.
Okay,
All right.
go ahead. Let's hear it, and then later on we'll be discussing it. Okay, Hafiza.
Wait,
The
doctor,
Zoom is
because
yours.
Prita will start first.
Semua orang ni kan sejak. Assalamualaikum.
Salam, ada.
Ada.
Kita menanti dengan sabarnya Cik Nur Hafizah binti Muhammad Noman.
Okey.
Kejap, doctor, kejap, Prof. Prita will start first.
All
Okay,
right.
Prita. Okay, according to the name is Okay.
But then maybe Prita got some problem there.
Hello?
Okay.
Prita, you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
can.
yeah.
Alright,
Yes, can.
okay.
Relax.
Pas sudah jadi gelap. Prof Kide okey ke? Nampak sihat tu?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, can we start?
Yes, please.
Can.
Alright, okay. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Krita from the group Organizational Development Consultant.
Yeah.
Okay, let me proceed the slide with what is organizational development. Organizational development is a system-wide application and transfer of behavioral science knowledge to the plan development, improvement, and reinforcement of the strategies, structures, and process that lead to organization effectiveness. This is explained by the D. Simon and Werner in the year of 2009. Organizational development also defined as a process by which behavioral science, knowledge, and practice are quality of life, increase productivity, and improve product and also the service quality. Furthermore, it is also explained as the planned change of effort involving systemic diagnosis of the total organization that is managed from the top to increase the organizational effectiveness and health of the overall system. Guys, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Continuing with the fourth slide, it comprises the long-range efforts and programs aimed at improving an organization's ability to survive by changing its problem-solving and renewal processes. It is also an effort of plan managed from the top to increase organization effectiveness and help through planned interventions in the organization process using behavioral science knowledge.
Rita?
Yeah, I'm.
Oh,
Okay,
maybe we can just continue, right?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. We all hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, doctor.
Just go ahead.
Okay, coming to the role of organizational development. There are many roles of organizational development. First of all, it's have to place emphasis on humanistic values. Secondly, it helps to treat each human being as a complex person. Thirdly, it also helps to increase the level of trust among members in an organization. And lastly, it is also help to increase the level of self and group responsibility in planning. Okay, consulting. What is consulting? Consulting should be what happens when someone with a problem or difficulty seeks help to solve that difficulty from someone who has a special skill. It is explained by the Kochman in the year of 1992. Hafiza?
Alright, so Assalamualaikum and good evening.
Yes.
Okay, then I will continue the presentation. Alright, so actually I just want to add on about the OD consultant. Actually, OD consultant is an independent contractor who is trained to enter an organization and develop a plan to make it healthy and profitable. So it can be said that an organization that isn't working up to its potential is in danger of failing because of the healthy of any profitable business depend on its workforce. So on this presentation, that being said by also, audit consultant regarding to let term in 1989 said that someone responsible for implementing change in the organization, right? Then according to Cumming and Woolley 2001 said that an internal or external consultant provide professional service by doing a diagnosis of the problem in an individual organization, develop solution and assist in the implementation of this statement. So next is the what is audit? Audit practitioner are people who entrust with the job to carry out plan or change of the organization. It can be said that audit practitioner are the one who do the audit job, right? They are designed because they are the change leader. They are responsible to enhancing the workplace based on research and the application of psychology principle. Alright, there are two types of audit practitioner, which are external audit practitioner and also internal audit practitioner. Right, on the next slide, external audit practitioner are someone that the organization brought from the outside. Somebody that organization hire to do the audit job. For example, like audit consultant just now. Right, there are advantage and disadvantage of external audit practitioner. So that we see on the advantage, it is more likely to be seen as outside the politics of the organization. They have different viewpoint and objective. People are more likely to be open to enclosing issue or problem, like no bias. Then people may be more willing to listen and to hear this outsider because they are outsiders, not our internal staff. Then they bring new perspective and they have the fresh idea, fresh insight, not dependent upon the organization. So usually it can be more easily provide context with other organization. They have more freedom, more credible upfront. But then they have also the challenges to hiring people from, because usually audit consultant, we are hiring them from the outside. So they have a challenges. For example, they unfamiliar with our organization. They need more time to discover how the system really works on the organization. I mean, the culture, the communication network. They only see part of the problem. Like they need a lot of time to look at the overall of the organization because of the insufficient knowledge of the organization. Besides that, OD practitioner will leave at the end of the project. They may not see the long-term result, the end result. They maybe not stay longer with the organization. Then they may use ideas that are too different from the organization current way of thinking and doing business. And lastly, hiring audit consultant will give cost to the organization. Right? Everybody clear?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yes, clear.
Okay, right. So I continue.
If we have any questions, I think just write it down and then we'll discuss it at the end of the presentation.
Okay, right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I continue. The next slide is internal audit practitioner. Internal audit practitioner are the staff or already members of the organization. For example, the audit manager, audit specialist, the TQM managers. As a internal audit practitioner also, they have an advantage and the challenges. So the advantage of having internal audit are basically they know, they are familiar with the system and also the culture, formal and informal, and how to use it. They know the language and how to express idea in accepted way. Then the people, they know the people and how to influence their friend inside the organization. They already have a lot of information about the problem. They didn't have a long time to understand the organization system, and also it can keep in close touch with the long-term consequences of a project. Right, so even though internal audit practitioners seem like positive to the organization, but there are also challenges such as they may lack of specialization skill, and maybe they have a history which may get in the way of their past failure or success, maybe lack of objective. They maybe as being too much part of the system, like limiting trust. Besides, they may be able to say, they not be able to say yes or no, or refuse the project because maybe of the politic or the hierarchy pressure inside their own organization, and they have a limited room to maneuver because of the tight role definition. Right, so we continue to the next slide. Maybe Nasrin. Nasrin, you there?
Nasrin, okay, I think
All right. So maybe I can help Nasrin. Maybe I just continue. All right. So, what an organization need OD consultant? Firstly, to enhance vision and mission achievement, then to align functional structure towards common purpose, to help and create strategic plan to increase organization and individual performance, and to create collaborative environment to change and develop the organization. So usually, OD consultant provide independent and objective advice to the organization to define and achieve their goals, to improve utilization of resources. Besides this OD consultant, they are making better use skill and experience and improving the structure and process of the organization. Then maybe, and yes, OD consultant help the organization become more healthy and effective, especially during their changes to the organization.
these are some of the services that the consultant renders. Who's on?
Rizal, where are you?
Anyone around? Can the team members take over?
Which slide are we in now?
Slide
number 12.
Slide number 12.
Can we move to the intervention slide first? Then last, we will present this title.
It's just that I think because of the poor connection, people are drifting in and out. And I think that maybe what happened to Afiza. Afiza, you're back. Don't worry too much. We're just getting used to this new application. So I have 43 participants. Meeting NAS now. It's just that people drift in and out. Are we done or what? Suddenly everyone went quiet. And then I only have my face on the screen.
Maybe lost connection.
Afiza, can you share back the slides, Afiza?
Yeah.
Afiza? Or any team members, can you just put back the slides on?
Who's presenting now?
Nobody.
Nothing is happening now.
Hold on, Prof.
All right, okay.
He just said the line is problem.
Yeah. In the meantime, are you all, anyone acquainted with a consultant? There are organizational consultants, business consultants. Anyone familiar with the big three?
Big three.
Yeah.
Okay, McKinsey.
Yes, McKinsey Brown.
McKinsey. Ya Allah.
Relax.
ENY.
Okay.
WC.
PwC.
Those are actually, well, there are auditors and there are business consultants.
How about business coach? Is it any different?
Well, there are business coaches also, but anyone among us, I know at least one of our PhD students is training to become a coach. You can always look up the big three: McKinsey and Company, Boston Consulting Group or BCG, and Bain Company. All the three of them are known as MBB. Those were the
One
big.
more, Prof. McKinsey, Boston, another one?
Bain and Company. B-A-I-N.
Huh?
Bain and
Oh.
Company. And they're all based in the US.
How about in Malaysia, Prof? Is there any?
We have Lingfa. Where's Lingfa?
I think in Malaysia we have also the BCG is also here. We have his consulting group. He is very familiar with performance consulting, performance management system. So there are also local consultants. I believe there are many. But one of the emerging consultants nowadays, we are focusing on, as I said earlier, I am focusing on regulatory practices, GRP, good regulatory practices, and also we are now trying to embark after PKP. We are looking at behavior insights. Behavior insight is one of the elements that we would like to rope in as many kementerian as possible, ministries, to make sure BI is one of the elements in policy making. So based on what Hafiza has presented, I think there are a lot more in terms of the scope of consulting is more. There are a lot more. It can be very, very simple, very direct. It can be very complex. If we're looking at in the areas of productivity and quality, for example, we are looking at what is wrong with the productivity and or performance of that particular organization. Or we are looking at quality issues of some organization. So there are, as I said, there will be human capital development consultants. There will be PNQ consultants. There will be financial consultants. There will be business coaches, consultant. So this year around, I've engaged with multiple agencies in terms of coming out with their KPIs, coming out with the roadmaps. Roadmaps, you mean to say they are looking at the strategic intent or strategic mission with multiple ministries and also agencies. So I believe in terms of based on my experience, we have worked based on what I call the co-pilot concept. The co-pilot concept is a concept whereby the external consultant and the internal consultant, they work hand in hand. Because in terms of OD, this is not the prescribed job description. Sometimes it's part and parcel of the job, whereby we need to intervene simply because things are not moving. We will see, for example, a very simple OD intervention is on training needs analysis, for example. We do TNA, or what we call, sometimes we call learning needs analysis, for us to look at training development, human capital development, talent development. We begin with the baseline of looking at what will be our learning and growth KPI for that year. So if you look then from that training, from the training it can be done throughout the organization, and then we come up with our training plans, or in short, we call it PLT, our plan latihan tahunan. This is the annual training plans, whereby we are able to map what is required in terms of functional competencies against generic competencies of all the job incumbent in one particular organization. That would be the simplest. And again, for that, for any consulting job, when it comes to organization, I believe the role of the external consultant is, of course, we will lead and facilitate the engagement. We will, but my experiences with the GRP in terms of buy-in at the state level, first of all, our engagement will be with the SS, the state secretaries, based on our briefing, based on the precision seminar at the top of the state level. We will then engage ourselves whether with the human resource department of the state, or we are looking at the economic planning unit of the state. From there, they will be able to identify the priority areas for them to intervene. So if you are looking at, for example, we are at the economic problems of the state, so we will engage ourselves with the revenue generating agencies of the states, or something to do with the environment, for example. We will engage ourselves. The states will be able to identify those particular prioritized pilot projects. Pilot project can be, normally we focus on three areas. One is on the socio-economic development of the organization or the state, and we are looking also environmental preservation of the or conservation of the states, and we are also looking at human capital development of the states. So depending on our paymaster, depending on the lead organization, At the ministry level, of course, our engagement will have to be with the KSU, yeah? Or we call KSU Secretary General, yeah? Before we engage with the other departments or the directors of the ministry. Yeah, we have done that for the non-tariff measures, whereby we have engagement. We have a 3-year engagement. In my experience with MOH, for example, we had a 3 years engagement. So when the baseline, of course, we got the entry, we have to have the buy-in. We have to agree on the tour of the engagement or the consulting work. Then we come in and look and collect data. Collect data will be the baseline data, and we must be able to focus which areas needs particular improvement. And then we will design what will be the correct the correct interventions. Yeah. I did take Dr. Gideon's class of DCE 5632 last time. Yeah. Of course, we are looking at we focus on 3 different intervention. Will be structural or interventions, or we are looking at behavioral intervention. There are times we are looking at technological interventions. But based on my work with the 10 states I work, we have looked at the engagement is more of regulatory and structural interventions, plus some regulatory technological interventions. Here we are looking at the basic 3 questions when we go in is for us to do what we call the mapping of the state mapping of all regulations. We have to map, and we will ask a very 3 basic questions. First of all, we are looking at all regulations at the states. It can be the bylaws, it can be the rules, it can be the order, it can be things like that. Yeah. So and then from there we look. After we have done all the mapping, what we will do will be we will ask 3 basic questions. First of all, we will ask, are we still needing? Is it needed? Are the regulations still needed? Yeah, adakah kita perlu that the regulations? Okay, then we ask the next question, are the regulations legal? We have to look at the legality of the regulations. And the third question, we will ask, are the regulations efficient? For example, efficient, will it allow ease of doing business between the agency and the business community, for example? Between the agencies and the stakeholders, for example, between the agencies and the citizen or any other agencies. So if we look at we do not have problem with question number 1 and question number 2 and question number 3, then it will remain as a status quo. Business will be as usual. Event that we see that there is the organization failed to answer correctly, is it needed? They say it's not needed. When it's not needed, maybe our approach will be to amend or to repeal. Normally we will repeal, or what we call repeal. Yeah? Repeal means we remove the regulations, and then we do what we call if it is not efficient. It means to say whatever regulations that we have at the state level does not meet the policy objective of the intended regulation, then we need to look back with the performance of that regulations. So when it's not efficient, we look at 2 things: the performance of the regulations and the compliance rate of the regulations. And I believe nowadays people are very familiar with Act 342. With MCO at Act 342, we see that people has been complying. It means to say we have 97% average. Yeah. So then we go with a very structured approach of improving that regulations, because the regulations is very important for social, economic, and environmental development of the state. The regulations ensure that we are able to save costs in terms of maintenance costs for the state. We must be sure that we can be able to generate money for the state. We must be able to show that whatever agencies under the state must be able to comply and perform in accordance with the intended governance. And then we must also make sure that whatever it is, it has to be engagement with other states. So the approach that have been adopted in Malaysia, we call it RIA. Under the GRP, there's one tool we call it RIA, Regulatory Impact Assessment. It is a 7-step approach in looking at regulations, because this regulations is very important at the public and private sector, because this is whether we want to make sure our strategic intent can be achievable. At the end of the early years, we develop and review back our strategic plans. So when we have RIA, the RIA will be a 7-step approach in our regulatory intervention as been proposed by OECD. The first step in RIA that we have to look is, one, we have to look what is the problem with the current regulations. Of course, for example, looking at the current regulations, we will see that the government have to spend a lot of money simply just to make sure that the infrastructure development of the state is being taken care. What's wrong with the regulation? It does not have the right source of power. Maybe what's wrong with the regulation? There are too many overlapping agencies doing the same thing, for example. What is wrong with the regulation? It may be that the regulation is obsolete, for example. Or what is wrong with, so the first part of the intervention will be to come up with a baseline problem. In order to do that, we do two ways. One is through the process of brainstorming, the other one is through the process of brainwriting. Again, when it comes to the problem, getting people into that particular OD interventions, we must be able to look at, yeah. For example, who will be involved? I would like to share my project with Perak, for example. My project with Perak is very simple. It is development of the houseboat industry in Tasik Temenggong. Yeah, it is about that. So when we go in, we talk about who is in charge of Tasik Temenggong, who has the power to regulate the activities in Tasik Temenggong. So based on the mapping, we identify that the owner of Tasik Temenggong is DNB. Yeah, the idea was being initiated by the Majlis Daerah Greek. But the role of water in the state, it is under the purview of Jabatan Pengaliran dan Saliran, DID. And then based on that, what are the problems? We see there's biodiversity problems, we have the tourism problems, we have conservation problems, we have food problems, we have enforcement problems. So based on the problems that we identify at the preliminary stage, we have invited more and more people to come in so that we have a better perspective of that. So once we are done, what we do was to look at issues, what causes the issues, and what will be the repercussions of the issues. Based on step one, problem solving, problem identification, we come up, we brainstorm for at least 2 days, we come what we call a problem statement. That is the problem statement. So the first step in any OD is to come out what are the issues, what causes the issues, and then what will be the repercussions of the issues. Isu, sebab dan akibat, and come out with a very comprehensive statement, because at the level of state level, for example, we must be able to convince the state policymakers in terms of reviewing and amending or upgrading the regulations. Okay, step one is to come out with data that support that the current law is not supportive. The current law is not performing the current. So we must have a baseline data, for example. Yeah. So this is what we see at 5 o'clock, a lot of baseline data being introduced by KKM, for example. Item 2 in our intervention will be to come up with the policy objectives. What will be, it is not problem solving objective, because when we look at regulatory interventions, we have to be able to come up policy objective that will be able to sustain the use of that particular regulation over a period of 5 years. 5 tahun punya. Maksudnya policy objective tadi must be able to address the problem that we have identified, and then we come out with multiple policy objectives. Yeah, policy objective. That is number 2. The same thing in OD. The same thing we see what is for the pro. We have, for example, in manufacturing, we find a lot of rejects, a lot of complaints. We have market recalls. We have a lot of turnover. We have disciplinary. So there are many problems that we find in organizations. We may see people who are not compatible. So these are the problems that we must be able to brainstorm and brainwrite before and identify the proper baseline before we come up with the proper intervention. So then we come up with a policy objective, or it can be also in our organization OD. We call it the problems, the objectives. Yeah, the objective. That's number 2. So in terms of drafting the objectives, again, it has to be based on the smart and the smarter rule of thumb. Yeah, the objective must be very specific, measurable, achievable. It is very realistic. It's a time bound. Yeah, it has to be ethical, and the last R is that it has to be research-based target. Research-based target. Yeah, so it is based on smarter. That's number 2 in terms of that that flow. Number 3 is to come up with options. Yeah. Number 3 is to come up in order to address or in order to make sure that the objective will be fulfilled. We have to draw out options. So in the case of regulatory GRP, good regulatory practices, normally there will be 4 options. Option number 1, generic 4 options. Number 1 is status quo. The status quo will be option number 1. It tells us that will be the baseline. In the event that we do not alter the situation, what will happen? Yeah. So status quo ni ialah baseline, business as usual. Option number 1 we will give to the option. Option number 2 will come out with what we call regulatory option. Regulatory options means whether we want to repeal the regulations and then we create a new regulations, or we make amendment to the new regulations, or we do some amendments, or at the state there will be enactment, we come up with the rules, or something wrong with the fee, a stated fee, for example. We look at the kaidah and also the table. So the options will be 1, status quo is mandatory. Second option, we come out with regulatory options, whether to repeal, to amend or to review or to create a new regulation. Third options will be called non-regulatory option. So the non-regulatory options in terms of achieving that, in order how do we want to achieve or settle the problems, for example. Very simple problem, for example, we have mushrooming of illegal Airbnbs or homestays. Yeah? So what will be the options? It can be we introduce a new law, or for example, we come up with a new registry so that everybody will be educated in the importance of getting things legalized. Yes. Third will be a non-regulatory options. And the fourthly, the options will be a hybrid between regulatory options and non-regulations. The same case where we come back to the organization, for example, as I said, we may look at the structural interventions, we may look at options of behavioral interventions, or we may look at technological interventions, or a hybrid of structural, behavioral, and technological intervention. That will be that. But what is very important also, when we propose any interventions, before we are able to arrive which is the best peak of intervention, we have to do what they call impact analysis. Impact analysis, we normally do it qualitatively and quantitatively. We are looking at what will be the cost if we were to intervene, what will be the benefits to the organization if we were to intervene. Yeah, so we have a list of positive benefits and then negative benefits. Yeah, that will be the qualitative part of that. What is also important is to do what we call CBA in short. CBA is any alternatives or solution. We come up with cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis. For example, if we were to embark on this particular intervention, what will be the cost of implementation? What will be the cost of drafting? What will be the cost of training? What will be the cost of doing benchmarking? What is the cost of engaging consultants? And then that will be the cost. We were talking about cost to the government, cost to the community, cost to the environment, cost. So this is what we have to be able to quantify and monetize. And then before intervention, apart from under CBA, we have to list down all the costs and also the benefits. To the business, for example, what will be the spin-over of the interventions, for example, yeah? We talk about the increase of sales, for example, the reduction of turnovers, for example, the increase of market share, for example, or we talk about we have a very enhanced, talented workforce. So that things have the benefits must be monetized. So item number 4 in all these intervention in general, we talk about the impact analysis through qualitative and quantitative. Then when we do that, item number 5, what is, for example, in EIA or environmental impact assessment also, based on our experience, it is very important for us to do what we call public consultation or public engagement. Because who is going to benefit? The people within the organizations, the stakeholders within the organization. So before we embark and choose any what will be the desired interventions, we have to make what we call stakeholders engagement. The stakeholders engagement will be to itemize item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, item number 4, and we will get feedbacks. We will get feedbacks from the stakeholders, which will be, or they want to recommend any other options. So step 5 is to talk about public consultation and public engagement. Right? So the model that we usually get in RIA, step number 6 is to come out with the summary and recommendation. So based on the data gathering from our public consultation sessions, we will be able to come out with a summary of the options. The best options when we do ODs intervention, we have to be able to look at the net benefit over the net cost. The net benefit of that interventions must outweigh the cost. So we must be able to monetize that. So before number 6 is to do a summary, and the summary will be able to tell us if we were to embark on these options, what will be the gain, what will be benefits, or what advantages to that particular decision. Right? That will be item 6, element 6 in that particular approach of interventions. And item 7 will be the implementation plan. So again, we are the team will work. We have hand-holding sessions. We will have multiple engagements. We have multiple research together. This is what we do in a co-pilot concept. Co-pilots mean external and external. We have to have hand-holding session. And then we do what we call the 7-item implementation plan, the use of the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart will be able to map what will be the duration of this. So what is in the 7-item, the implementation plan? 1, there must be a communication plan. We must be able to tell the people within the organizations that we are embarking for this particular intervention. We call it KICAT, for example, Quality Improvement Initiative, or KICAT. For example, we have that kind of communication. It can be through oral, it can be through seminars, it can be by Zoom meetings, webinar meetings. But what is very important is to make sure whatever interventions that we propose, there will be buy-in from the management and also buy-in from all levels of management within the organization. That is the communication. And then we must be able to come out what we call the implementation plan. Number 2 is the implementation of the intervention plus the monitoring part of the interventions. So that's why we have to look at people who are able to implement it and people who are able to monitor the success. So of course we have in normal interventions. Normally, my experience of PNQ, it will be a 6-month project. Depending on the complexity and the duration of the project, it can be a year project. In the case of what we did with GRP, it is a 2-year project. We must be able to get, it is a 2-year project, and then from implementation, and we must be able to come up what will be the hiccups, the barriers along the way. But whatever it is, it has to be a 5, or in the case of GRP, it is a 5-year implementation, 5-year monitoring, and a 5-year evaluation program. So that is my experience as a GRP consultant, being appointed as technical expert for 10 states in Malaysia, looking at 23 different projects, multiple projects, and I work with multiple teams from JPS, Alam Sekitar, DOE. We look at Jabatan Laut Malaysia, Jabatan Laut, things like that. Many multiple agencies. But what is very important is that the problem statement must be agreeable by all the stakeholders before we embark on the interventions. All right. So, Dr. Kirin.
Yes.
Dr. Kirin.
Thank you.
All right. That is it. Some of my inputs in terms of the practical perspective of an OD consultant.
Good.
Right.
Anyone,
Alright.
anyone has questions for Dr. Hisham? So Dr. Hisham.
Any questions for me? Gentlemen, ladies?
Doctor, I have
Yes,
one
sir.
question, please, doctor.
Yes, sir.
Hisham?
Norman, please.
Okay. How about if the OD experts is coming from the actually he's internally before and then
Right.
resign, so being
Alright.
called up as external OD.
Okay. Okay. I retired from MPC. Yeah. I served with MPC, Malaysia Productivity Corporation. But then MPC has this scheme, the scheme of MPC associates. So we comes in, but we do not do OD for MPC. We do OD for the clients of MPC. Because of course, we have the ethical issues, for example. Yeah, we have to be able to be professional enough to take care of the ethical issues. Yeah, that is why, gentlemen, it's very important before we embark in any interventions, we have signed an agreement. We call it NDA. Are you familiar with NDA? That is called non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement. Yeah. So that we understand each other and it's meant for this particular exercise within the organization. So depending, some organizations allow because of course people they invite because they have the what they call the knowledge within of the organization itself. But the hiccup will be the barriers will people listen to that particular consultant. So if he has history, for example. That's why the importance of we must be able to come up with certain expertise. Yeah, we must be certified in certain areas, and people will value us simply because of the input that we give to the clients. Yeah, but I believe if it's nothing to do with trade secrets, I believe we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, but I believe whatever it is, we have to look at the ethical issues, whether it is something agreeable by the people within. Because there is a prejudice that this particular, they have certain history and so on. It can be very personal and so on. So, gentlemen,
Okay,
thank you for the question.
Right. The other one question, doctor. Like in Singapore, I heard that those retired and pensioner are being called up to develop a consortium that whereby government will ask the consortium to contribute back to the government with all the experts, and they will sort out their expertise to the overseas, like in Dubai, everything. So they try to develop what we call get a client from Dubai and Middle Eastern to come to Singapore to have some sort of like training.
Thank you, Norman. I believe there is that initiative, the initiative whereby we have all the expertise and we export our expertise outside. Yeah, again, it is a very good move by Singapore. And my 4 years experience with Selangor, for example, I was the head of the Insan program in Selangor. So we have 34 consultants, but we develop modules for development of people of the citizens of Selangor, for example. Yeah, we do not export it. But I have Dr. Gideon and myself also have engaged in projects whereby they do run programs for international clients and so on. Yeah, but that is an initiative. Again, it is an initiative by, and I believe in Malaysia we have that think tank, to come up with multiple models. I'm not very sure offhand this organization, but I have worked with multiple consultants that have worked abroad, for example. Yeah. Okay, Roman.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Where are you from, Roman?
I'm Malaysian Civil Defence Force.
You are in the military?
No, Malaysian Civil Defence.
Okay, Civil Defence. Okay. JP,
Before this, I have a good contact with Cik Aruni, MPC.
Okay, alright, retired.
Retired already.
Retired, yeah. Thank you, Cik Aman. Residing in Perlis at the moment.
Yes.
He's back in Perlis, yeah. Okay. Kita pun ada grup OTAI MPC.
Okay.
Okay, any questions from the floor? Any from the class? Shamila? Amira there? Sophia? Sophia tak ada. Ibrahim?
Okay, doctor.
Okay, Shamila, yes, please.
Thank you very much, doctor.
All right, no questions for me,
Yeah, it's very clear and clear as a crystal.
Okay, right.
I think in the chat someone asked something, doctor, from Amira.
Okay, Amira, please.
Assalamualaikum, doktor.
Salam.
Tarian.
Siapa ni?
Here.
Sarina. Okay,
I have a question.
All right.
Yes, I have a question. Just now you did mention about the monitoring of the implementation of the intervention.
Right.
So my question would be, how long the duration of between one monitoring and another monitoring step, and the reporting of the monitoring findings.
Okay.
How is it? We have to based on the consultant proposal or based on the stakeholders' need. Maybe they have like a monthly review or 6 months review.
Okay. All right.
How we have,
Thank you. Okay.
how we want to identify the duration of the monitoring reporting.
All right. Thank you, Sarina. First of all, before we embark on the project, we submit what we call the milestone chart. Yeah, carta perbatuan. There we will see when we will do the problem data collection, when we could discuss on the intervention, when we have the trial or pilot program, then we come up with the actual implementation. Yeah. So if it is a productivity and quality projects, normally we will start in month 4. It's a 6 month. Month 4, we must be able to come. We will start the monitoring. If you look at if you use PDCA, plan, do, check, action cycle. Month 4, we will look at the achievement of that interventions. The achievement of the intervention. So the achievement must be very consistent with the intended objective just now. Yeah. It means to say that we are actually achieving. It means to say if we want to generate something, so we will see the base. What is the baseline? Katakanlah the baseline is to increase to reduce the number of complaints, for example, from 100 to 5, for example. Yeah. So during the interventions, we must be able to look at. We see a trend. Can you write a very simple word? That is, let's see. Let's see. L-E, small letter, big letter T, and C-I. Let's see. Let's see means that during the monitoring of the month 4, month 5, month L-E, big letter L, small letter E, big letter T, C, big letter C, and small letter I. Let's see. Yeah. So during the monitoring of month 4 or month 4, month 5, month 6, we will see a very favorable trend. Or you're looking at downward trends, or you talk about inclining trends. Yeah. But not a yo-yo trends. Right. Katakanlah in the case of the you see. So then we must be able to consistent that the result achievement will be very consistent for 3 months. Sama juga like Michael Ubat kan. Normally the doctor will give us a 3 months for that, and we see that kind. So ASTD talks about we were to talk about victory or behavioral change. They give us a 90-day victory. They call it a 90-day victory. 90-day victory means to say, if you were to come out with the behavioral intervention, the change in behavior or competencies acquired by one particular person, you must be able to they must be able to demonstrate that within 90 days. Yeah, we call it 90 days victory. Yeah. So in our case of achievement, we must be able to see that kind of. Yeah. So in the event, then only we can say that our intervention is working by July, for example. If we should start bulan 4, April, May, and June, we will see that we can document in the month of July. Yeah, because the result shows a very consistent achievement. Yeah. Okay. The first 3 months normally we will just talk about the problem, the objectives, the baseline data, what kind of interventions, what will be the pilot programs that we want to run before we come out with the actual test. But all this requires the consent. Yeah. Before we embark on intervention, of course, we have to present the interventions to the top management for us to get consent. When they are okay with the consent, only then we implement. And then that's where we have the reporting. Yeah, in our case, we talk about in my experience, normally we have monthly reporting based on the Gantt chart. The reporting is based on the Gantt chart. So what were we normally many organizations like to see a quick fix, not more than 1 year approach duration. It will be very costly because consultant comes in mandates, for example. Yeah, for Sharina.
Okay, Doctor, thank you. Very clear.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Good job. Any other thoughts? Okay, before we proceed, are there any more presentations other than today's consultant? Ibrahim, we only have one today, right?
Yes, Prof. Only one.
Okay, then it's all right. So next week, we'll try to combine two. Is that okay? So the next two presentation, what will it be? I haven't checked, but okay, never mind. We'll communicate through our WhatsApp.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Hisham? Dr. Hisham can stay on for as long as you want. Dr. Hisham, you know, so of course, we are not going to hold you if you want to leave. But of course, we love to have you around.
Okay.
Dr. Hisham?
Yes, Shamila.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Just now you said if it is a complex issue or complex problem, it might take 1 to 2 years, right? To
True.
do the iteration and everything. So how we can negotiate with the stakeholders? Let's say it's a complex issue, but they want us to finish in 6 months. How do you solve this kind of cases with stakeholders? How do you negotiate with them?
Okay, thank you, Shamila. For example, they want they want it to be shorter or they want it to be longer?
They want it to be shorter. Like supposedly, period line will be like maybe 1 year, but they want the consultant to do the assessment and the processes in 6 months and submit the document. So how do
And
you?
we'll be very specific in terms of project, yeah, because it depends on the project itself, yeah. So if you look at, we have to do a company-wide organization. There are 3,000, 5,000. What I call looking at job position or interviews or position description of everybody, for example, yeah, PDA, for example. So it may not be possible to look at the 3,000. Then we have to be able to come out with the focus groups. Yeah. Again, it depends. If it is a 6-month project, the scope of the project will not be the same with as a 1-year project. Yeah, or the magnitude of the data collection will not be as big as the initial 1 year, because what we want to see in 1 year normally, if it is a very complex thing, because it involves many people. Or for example, if we talk about the acquisition of technology know-how from overseas, for example, yeah. Then in terms of installation, or you come up with develop that software, for example, you have to have the testing, the user acceptance test, you know, before it can be run. So normally things that involve technology manufacturing requires a longer time. But things that requires improvement, for example, systems improvement, process improvements, behavioral improvement, things like that, you can shorten shorten the times of engagement. Once again, we have to present the scope of work, and they must agree to the TOR, terms of reference, that for this will be the scope and this will be our deliverables. And yeah, that has been spelled out and agreed upon by the stakeholders. Okay, Shamila?
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Shamila.
Who is using the user tag?
Ya, Cik Aman, apa cerita?
Dr. Kiden, I would like to share with you also and Dr. Hisham that what happened in our season of MCO right now.
Alright.
So actually, government like to please and like to entertain every citizen with a good method of MCOs. As I been understand by the National Security Council that government try to emphasize the SEN, sustainable enlargement and new norm to us. in this particular matter, they got a few what we call problem statement. They're coming from industry, or factories, and then a few cluster like economy, social, education, security, and so on. So how about in this part of OD, try to make sense of this particular that will affect to the economy and affect our our life also. So in the new normal, there might be a few that our normal life might have to change to new norm, especially on SMS. SMS means that social distance, masking, and sanitizing. So how we want to change the what we call the life. Before this, we are so happy be around, but when come in this method, lots of problems coming in.
Yes, you can imagine the airline industry, for example. I think that is one of the biggest industry that's being hit by this COVID-19. So if social distancing on airplanes, for example, can you imagine how the sitting arrangements would be like? And that would affect the cost. That is just one very simple example. Of course, you are taking into account that people will travel. Then, of course, our classes, how are we going to conduct classes? The rooms that we have now cannot cater for social distancing. So this could be the new normal, right? So we must somehow be prepared, and all the telcos should prepare for better internet connection in that sense. So that is just those are some of the very simple examples. And we can think of many other possibilities that need to be taken into account when we have this so-called new normal. So that in itself is a very, like I say, it's a very interesting phenomenon that is going to impact, like you said, of course, our lives in the future. The other possibility, of course, with the advent or with the introduction of a vaccine, right? Then if a vaccine is successful at least well, I don't believe it's going to eradicate, at least to control the virus, then I think life will be much more what we used to know, right? Eating at restaurants. What else?
Yeah.
Going to the market, going to the malls. They're all very different now. And you can imagine how business is impacted. Of course, you know, when you look at the courier services, that is one big booming business, the courier. And of course, now people have to go online already. And communications such as, for example, Zoom and all these apps that allow people to meet virtually. This is going to take off. Any other thoughts?
Thank you, Prof.
Now, the consulting business is actually very interesting in the sense that it has grown over the years. It started off with the auditing firms, basically the accounting firms, and I think we still have a big 5 auditing firms. I think most of you would be able to recall it. For example, there was Anderson Consulting, Arthur Anderson, sorry, right? And Arthur Anderson, after the Enron fiasco, I think they were lucky because they had a business consulting firm, and that business consulting firm, although it later on when you can read, for example, read up about Anderson, Arthur Anderson, and also Accenture. At that time, they had Arthur Andersen and Andersen Consulting. And then Andersen Consulting later on became Accenture, which was the business consulting, right? And while Arthur Andersen had to close the accounting firm because of the Enron fiasco, then what is left is Accenture, and Accenture has, I suppose, remained as an important business consultant. And apart from that, we have the big four in the sense of Price Waterhouse, Deloitte, what else? KPMG, is it? And the other one is Cooper's, is it Cooper's Library? Ernst & Young, sorry. KPMG, Ernst & Young, Price Waterhouse and Cooper's, Deloitte. And those actually started off business consultant. And in fact, there was this story about how Arthur Andersen, operating from Chicago, started the consulting business. This could be, I don't think I can verify the story, but the story goes like this. Arthur Andersen was doing auditing for a lot of big companies. And in Chicago at the time, there were lots of big companies, right? For example, Sears, and then I think Boeing also operated from there then. And then McDonald's, of course. Those are very big companies. But Chicago is well known as a business hub. And Arthur Andersen was doing auditing for all these companies. And when he audited, he began to notice things that the companies were doing that were duplications. And of course, there were things that he found out could have saved the company money. And when he found these things during the audit, he would advise the company, right? And as this go on, he realized that he was saving the company a lot of money through his advice. You know, when you're doing auditing, you discover a lot of things. So through his advice, he found out that he was in fact helping the company in saving a lot of things. For example, a lot of companies waste a lot of paper through the purchase, bulk purchase, and then there were duplications, and as such, at the end of the year, there are papers that are being stored, and those papers that are being stored later on were weathered down, and they were all spoiled and could not be used. So this is a big form of wastage, and also all the inventories and stocks, right? So Arthur Andersen saw this and advised the company, and after a while, he realized, why am I giving free advice while the companies are saving a lot of money as a result of those advice? So this was how business consulting actually started, according to the story, right? And Arthur Andersen began to charge for his advice or recommendations soon, and then they became Arthur Andersen Consulting and later on Accenture. But this is just a story. I cannot verify the truth of the story, but it is logical in that sense, right? And if you look at business consulting firms, why are they so good? Why do you think business consultants are? There are very good business consultants that people go to all the time, right? I think in Malaysia, people always fall back on McKinsey. Anyone work with a business consultant before? Dr. Hisham's outfit is also quite well known, right? So a lot of banks, and he has lots of return customers. Anyone involved with consultants before?
Yes, during the writing of RMK 11 and 10.
Yes, government plans, government, you know,
yes.
Usually budget-wise. I've recently, well, not the government, but I've recently been approached by, for example, British American Tobacco. just to look into the issue of illicit cigarettes because they want to prepare for the budget, right? So these are some of the things that people look at consultant. Of course, my own line is not in advising on the business itself, but looking at how we can get data, verifiable data that they can later use for their own plans and projects. So this is one opportunity that is possible when you develop that research expertise, right? And the thing is that most of these big companies, they have the experience. And when they have the experience, they have the knowledge. They build up this big data bank about business practices and business successes and failures, about troubleshooting. So they are able to go back to their data bank and to their knowledge and expertise. And this is how people develop the expertise. The consultants develop the expertise, right? So the bigger the company, the more experience they have, the more knowledge they will have, and the better they become at consulting. So this is why you have all the big business consultants. Not only in the sense they are well known, but they are well known for certain reasons, right? And there are also consulting firms that are known for particular skills because they have developed tools that they use in terms of businesses, right? For example, they are able to assess the performance of organizations. They're able to assess, for example, the health of organizations. If anyone look at, for example, the Great OD, anyone familiar with the Great OD? The Great OD has been used by some organizations. For example, Telecoms Malaysia has reported that they have used the Great OD before, right? You can easily look up, right, Great Organization Development or Great OD. I'm trying to recall, developed by, okay, Blake and Mouton. Blake, B-L-A-K-E, Mouton, Great OD. So what the Great OD does, it actually diagnoses the relationship or the communication or how people are able to work together with each other. They look at the individual level, how individual work with another individual. They look, for example, at the team or unit work, teamwork, and then they are able to provide a diagnosis on where each person would stand in a matrix, in a grid, right? So they have, if you can envision a grid, you can look at. I'll probably give you some read up on that. If you can envision a grid on 1900, 1911 and 91. Are you familiar with the X and Y axis? Right. On the X and Y axis, if you have numerals from grids from 1 till 9 on the X axis and 1 till 9 on the Y axis, then you will have within the grid all the particular readings from 1 till 9 9. Right? So on the Y-axis, you may have, for example, task orientation. And then on the X-axis, you may have a relationship orientation. Right? So on a 1-1, you would be put on both task and also relationship orientation. The best would be a 9-9, which is high in both task and relationship. Task meaning that you get people to do work without any consideration for their, I suppose, for their welfare, right? It is not their welfare that becomes the priority, it's the work, the objective of the organization that becomes the priority. So people usually don't like you because you actually push people to do work without regard of their welfare, right? On the relationship orientation, people are more, the bosses, the leaders are more inclined towards preserving that relationship and that welfare. Work becomes secondary, but welfare becomes more important, right? And as you can see, both of them are also not desirable, in the sense that if you don't care for relationship, then people might get very upset, right? But if you care too much for relationship, then work does not get done. So what the Great OD does is to assess each employee where he or she is at in terms of relationship orientation and task orientation. And the whole idea of the Great OD is to work someone towards 9-9, right? So that you become both good at both work and also relationship. Now, that is an example of a tool that is being used by a consultant. And in this case, Blake and Moody uses this tool in terms of how they want to analyze the health of organization, and they make recommendations in terms of how an employee can improve his or her task orientation or relationship orientation, depending on where that person falls within the grid. Okay? The thing is that with tools, now, most consultants have their own favorite tools, right? And when you have a favorite tool, this is an example of when you have you heard about the phrase, when you have a hammer, everything becomes a, when you have a hammer, everything
nail.
else is a, everything else is a nail, right? Because the hammer is only used to knock in nail. And that's the only way that you are trained or that you learn how to solve a problem, by banging in the nail. Now, if a consultant has limited amount of tools, then he or she would have a go-to tool, and that tool most probably be used in all business solutions, right? Now, of course, you may look at, for example, a surgeon. A surgeon has, what is the tool of the surgeon? The surgery, right? And most likely, if you were going to see a surgeon, he would recommend that you go for surgery, right? And it's the same thing with doctors, for example. They are consultants, right? Not to bring down doctors, but this would be an example of a favorite tool. If you're a homeopathist, then most likely you would recommend homeopathy, right? If you are, Sham, what do you call that? When you prick the pins?
Acupuncture.
Acupuncture, right? So if you are an acupuncturist, then most of your solution would be through acupuncture. That is normal, right? And for consultants also, they work that way. They work based on their expertise, and they are more likely to recommend the things that they know best. Okay? So someone like Dr. Hisham would have a lot of tools at his disposal. right? So then he would choose the best based on the requirements of the situation, right? And I think Dr. Sham, you have used that, right?
Yes, for
How
example,
many
if you
schools do you
look
think you have?
at the moment, I because of my engagement with GRP, I've used RIA a lot, and for SMEs, we use what we call business excellence framework. Business excellence framework. There is a course prior to intervention and after interventions. And then, of course, if you look at things on productivity and quality, we will have the PDCA model. If you're looking at Six Sigma, we have DMAC. And of course, a very basic thing, we have a PIE, PIE models that we plan, implement, and evaluate the models themselves. But what is quite comprehensive in terms of SME diagnostic tool, will be, we call it BEF, Business Excellence Framework, or call it Malaysia Business Excellence Framework, something that you can look when you go with NPC. npc.gov.my, you look under it, there will be a lot of things tied to Business Excellence Framework. Yeah, true. What Dr. Gideon is true, because there's an inclination. People who are not well versed with many organizational issues, they will propose things like team building. They will propose things like TIK, 5S. They talk about lean management. These people are specialists in their own area. But in my case, I try to make sure I am able to work across many projects. Yeah, from quality, to succession planning, talent development, into productivity improvement, things like that. Yeah, so that we are more equipped. But what is very important, in order for us to justify us as a consultants, we have to invest in terms of getting certification. At the end of the day, they will look at, for example, being a trainer itself, we have to make sure that we are certified by Human Resource Development Council, for example. It will be an investment of 2,600, yeah. Of course, if you are a graduate with master's in HRD or PhD in HRD, there is a tendency that you will get the exemption. But with the new direction of Human Resource Development Council, it has to be is more stringent to get the certification. Of course, it's just a 5-day program, and then there is process of monitoring and assessment, on-the-job assessment, and so on. In my case, NPC, I worked with NPC before, Malaysia Productive Corporation. It is an organization we do a lot of consultancy work. Yeah, they are the secretariat for ICC. They are secretariat for 5S. They are enablers for BEF. They are the champion for GRPs. So we have gained a lot, and there are many associates. There are a lot, close to 1,000 associates with NPC. So in terms of OD, we have multiple programs, from businesses into IR 4.0 readiness, into, as I said, from Nexus. NPC also, there are Nexus programs. Under Nexus, we have agricultural Nexus, we have chemical Nexus, ICT Nexus, MNE Nexus, and I'm also involved in some of these Nexus. There are tourism Nexus, yeah. These are subsectors to the economics of Malaysia. So this is what the NPC is doing. In order for me to be equipped with, or to be attached with NPC, I must be able to equip myself. And they will have multiple programs in order to make sure that we engage. For very simple of CBA, cost benefit analysis, yeah, we have to undergo and pay in the region of 3,000 for a 3-day program, for example. When I did my RIA certification, the whole program is 14,000. So you have to pay 14,000 in order for you to get the certification, so that you have the internal recognition before you are. But that is part of investment as an OD consultant. You have to do that, because if you work with bigger companies, they are looking at your program, your certifications, your affiliations, your background and your experience. What is very important is the way that you sell yourself, the way that you sell your ideas, so that people are very convinced. You are able to convince the stakeholders this is something that we'll do, and we are able to work on. But in the event there are projects that we do not agree, maybe because that is not your expertise. Of course, we have our co-consultants that can work on that one. That's why in terms of this consultancy work, we may need to have multiple engagement with multiple consultants, because the project itself it will very diverse with multiple disciplines, or it can be a very simple narrow project format. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah. So for example, the My Portfolio, whereby the civil service we are embarked with My Portfolio. So if you look at My Portfolio itself, it is developed by a consultant or PMS consultant, Hayes. Yeah. So you look at the element, and then Hayes is a consultant very widely known in the world for performance management system, which performance management system, and they are very expensive. Yeah. So that's why if we affiliate ourselves with international recognized consultants, we have to pay a lot for their consultation based on mandates. But people like me, local products of UPM, we have what called giving back sessions to UPM. Yeah. And I believe Dr. Gideon is about to retire, Man. Tak lama lagi nak pension tu.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very aware of it.
Oh, dia beri yeah. So I'm a retiree. Rasmi, I retired from public service 1st March 1997. So I've been a retiree for the past 23 years.
Wow.
Almost 24 years as a retiree. So so it's okay. The consultant, this is something that when you retire, you can fall back to your degrees and your masters from HRD. Yeah, because they're across the board certification. In Malaysia or for our friends from international, you see that it is a good field for us to venture. Yeah. All right. So it has been fun for today. I do hope that I am able to contribute something to the OD consulting world from the perspective of a practitioner. Yeah.
Dr. Hisham.
Yes, saya.
If I may ask, what do you think about the end boss? Is it considered as consultant to the government as well?
End boss is something. Okay. I believe the appointment of the emboss consultant based on the prior administration, yeah, and I believe I am also emboss is only meant for Malaysia. Sorry.
Two prior.
Yeah. So again, but in KIK Horizon Baru, we use emboss as part of the tool to solve KIK Horizon Baru. The new ICC, the new Horizon Baru, there must be element of emboss too. Yen, how do I call you? Yen.
Yeah.
Yen, emboss form because it work. This is called the hybrid programs. Hybrid programs, we complement each other, and which is very good. The spirit is very good. The spirit of emboss from red ocean to blue ocean, things like that. And we use the rice concept. The same thing that when you use in OD, the use of rice. Rice talk about whether we want to reduce, whether to increase, we want to create or eliminate the problems. Yeah. So that is the intervention. The same thing with the objective. The objective is to, for example, to reduce the number of complaints, to increase the proficiency level of the officers, or to increase productivity, or to create a new model to be adopted in systems of e-pay, or to eliminate any redundancies in the process itself. MPC, that's what I call, we have cure. Under DRP, we have cure. My cure, they call it my cure. My cure is in order to make the estimates, is to enhance the efficiency of the administrative procedures within the public sector of Malaysia. Kita ada my cure. MY small letter CURE. That's cutting unnecessary red tapes. Yeah.
MPC is also in charge of Pemuda, right?
Now under the Nexus, MPC also takes care of Pemuda. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Is Pemuda is similar like the cure one?
No, this is the Pemuda is the overseeing oversight body. Oversight body, but cure is one of the initiative under the GRP. Pemuda oversees all the Nexus initiatives, the Nexus initiative, the Productivity Nexus initiative, kebanyakan. They work with the DMO, Department of Office. Okay. All right. Okay, Ian, where are you from, Ian?
I'm previously from JPA. I used to be posted in MPC for a while. So yourself is quite famous in MPC, I know.
Yeah. Okay, Ian. So JPA latih?
Pension department.
Oh, Pasca.
Yeah,
Pasca. We do invite people from Pasca to conduct our persaraan. Before post-COVID, I had the last program persediaan persaraan dengan puan adalah puan Fizah Fazida. Many years we have worked with Fazida. Talk about GCR things like that. Yeah. Pasca. Okay. All right. Okay.
Well, I've just talked to Dr. Mazrina. I think Dr. Hisham knows
NPC.
well. She says she wants to get on board in about 5 minutes. So if we can just get on in about 5 minutes, it'll be good. Dr. Mazrina is now the director for MP Northern Region.
Northern
region, yeah.
Yes.
And you know her.
Yeah, not really, but she's famous.
Famous in what way?
One of the, fast track in MPC.
Yeah. One of the shining stars at MPC.
Yes.
Hopefully we can have her on board. She says she has to sort out a few things because they have a work.
I think this week she's having
santai
with SS of police.
SS of police, yes.
Yes.
Today.
Yeah, this one is at 2:30. She says.
2:30. Yep.
This one is not open to the public. If not, we could have it.
Any questions we can share? Anybody else who would like to share any thoughts of being a consultant? Yeah. Of course, when you are in the civil service, you can do consultancy over the weekends. If that's not called moonlighting.
Mr. Lokman can be a consultant in managing national disaster.
Sure can. We can.
Mr. Lokman is our national hero.
True. A very big asset to MKN, National Disaster Unit. Yeah. Okay, there is something that we have to everybody knows about the National Disaster Committee nowadays. Yeah, SPRC. Yeah.
Yeah. Headed by NATMA, right? Or MKN.
At this moment, as I've been told that now under the MCO, the lead is under NSC, and actually I've been involved in the tabletop exercise last week regarding to loosen up the MCOs, and there's a lot of detail and a lot of a crucial thing that government have to solve before loosen up the MCOs. Now, because once being delivered by the minister itself, new norm is not easy to understand by the baseline. Even though our government servant also having a quite understanding of the new norm, but we have to admit it if we want to cure and if we want to fight the COVID in the short term.
Good. Dr. Mazrina is on board now. Hello, Dr. Mazrina. Can you hear me?
Hello, boleh dengar ke?
Boleh. Ni, pasal COVID. What is the new normal for MPC?
So kita new normal kat MPC, kita dah sekarang ni kita dah tidak buat face to face punya training, kita dah tak buat face to face punya meeting. So now our new normal is everything is online. So program kita online, kita punya meeting online, kita punya all the macam claim, all the administrative kita online. So even selepas ni pun kita jangkakan MPC akan work from home. Most of our officers akan work from home sebab kita akan fully utilize digital or online system lah. So this one ni jadi macam COVID ni ialah sebagai macam kata stepping stone lah, mempercepatkan lagi proses digitalization.
Yes. So in terms of productivity, do you envisage that productivity will go down for the next few years?
Okay.
Sorry to put you.
Of course, kalau dari segi economic downturn, ekonomi GDP negara, kita akan nampak penurunan. So calculation of productivity sebenarnya bergantung kepada GDP negara. So kalau yang tu saya tak berani jamin lah bagaimana keadaannya, tapi kita boleh anggarkan lah kan keadaan produktiviti dari segi negara Malaysia punya produktiviti tidak akan nampak peningkatan yang begitu ketara dalam masa terdekat ini kerana GDP negara yang melibatkan direct calculation lah. So tapi yang kita nampak produktiviti kerja dari segi jabatan kerajaan ataupun produktiviti kerja dari sektor swasta dan juga businesses, kita nampak peningkatan dari segi produktiviti proses kerja. Di mana bila guna online, kita dah lower the cost, especially government. Bila kita banyak guna online, kita dah travelling punya cost kita dah cut down, kita punya face to face meeting kita cut down, kuih-muih dalam meeting pun dah tak ada. So utilities yang kita pakai, penempat office yang keperluan office pun dah kurang. So banyak benda kita boleh kurangkan kos. Dari segi kos itu dah meningkatkan produktiviti kerja, sebab especially government kami sekarang ni lah yang saya hadapi sekarang lah, termasuk saya sendirilah, kita dah bekerja almost 24 hours lah. Meeting kita dah sampai malam, even Sabtu Ahad pun kerja. Maksudnya sebab kita tidak guna time untuk keluar ataupun maksudnya dalam jam, tapi sekarang ni time kita memang fully utilise untuk kerja je lah. Dan at the same time kita juga boleh kemas rumah tangga.
Doktor, tidak atau itu menjadi lebih tertekan? Doktor, saya Azril Azril. Nak tanya, tadi doktor sebut bila kita guna online ni dah jadi kerja 24 jam. Dah jadi macam tak ada kerja lain selain kerja. What do you think about this?
Tak, iyalah betul lah, betul.
We are trying to increase productivity and at the same time we are increasing stress level as well. So which one is which?
Okey, betul. Dari segi itu memang kita pun menghadapi benda yang sama. Because this is the new normal. Kalau dah kata old normal tu dah biasalah, kita tahu how to tangani. Bila new normal ni, bila mula-mula baru ni memang akan ada stressful sikit lah. Sebab kita tak boleh nak manage. Pada minggu kedua, PKP kedua dan ketiga kita memang stressful. Bila masuk yang keempat ni kita dah kurang. Sebab kita dah tahu macam mana nak manage time. Kalau dulu meeting kita buat malam, tengah malam pun ada meeting. So sekarang kita tahu nak manage time. Kita dah boleh synchronize antara jabatan, antara unit untuk managekan time yang sepatutnya. Tapi bagi saya, maksudnya saya kerja 24 jam ni maksudnya kita tidak semestinya kita kena semua orang meeting kena pagi pukul 8 je. Mungkin kita boleh manage time. Okay, pagi oleh kerana banyak sangat meeting online yang lain dan kita tidak terlibat. So saya punya team saya akan buat meeting petang, tapi pukul 8 atau 9 orang boleh berehat. Tidur dulu lah. Tak apa lah, tidur dulu. So nanti petang kita lebihkan masa di waktu petang kita ambil sebab pagi kita dah bagi rehat. Maksud saya nak kata flexi hours lah. Kalau kita meeting malam pun, siang kita tak kacau lah. Pagi okay, you can free time pagi ni, hari ni kita meeting malam sebab siang ni mungkin masing-masing sibuk. Contohlah petang sibuk memasak, bulan puasa kan. So kita tak kacau. Macam saya, dengan pegawai-pegawai saya lah, MPC Wilayah Utara, pegawai-pegawai saya memang managekan time walaupun sedang waktu work from home sekarang ni, sampai pukul 3 petang, 4 petang stop. Kita will be no more meeting ke apa. Tapi still we can discuss WhatsApp tu biasalah. Tapi kalau meeting ke online webinar ke apa, we will stop. Sebab tujuan kita nak bagi masing-masing memasak. Tapi kalau bulan puasa ni start pukul 7.30 everybody dah start working. Sebab kita dah bangun awal pagi kan. Kita akan stop awal.
Thank you.
So saya rasa yang ni ialah pihak pengurusan ataupun pihak management lah kena ambil inisiatif ataupun look into that. Bukan hanya one way. Discuss with the pekerja, look into that, compromise lah. Time to compromise and flexible.
Doctor, do you think this initiative is effective to most of the sectors in Malaysia? By using this so-called IR 4.0?
Of course lah, most of the sector boleh. Tapi macam sektor yang saya kata pun, ada jabatan ataupun unit-unit ataupun bahagian yang tak boleh. Contohnya bahagian yang still kena, bahagian production, bahagian yang perlu physical appearance. Ada kan bahagian-bahagian yang keperluan macam tu, of course. Tapi still we can minimize. Contoh macam sektor-sektor swasta yang saya nampak, yang bila kita benarkan kebenaran untuk beroperasi, dia boleh beroperasi pun dengan 30% staff dia. So dia nampak rupanya half of the staff ataupun 50% lah, half of the staff sebenarnya boleh bekerja work from home. So dia dah jimat utilities dekat syarikat dia ataupun bangunan dia tak perlu bawa staff ramai. Contohnya bahagian marketing, dia dah boleh buat dekat rumah. Tapi bahagian production of course kena pergi buat dekat office. So sebenarnya baru dia realise how to maximize ataupun to minimize dia punya keperluan utilities ataupun maximize the capability of the staff.
In other words, this is we are talking about maintaining skeleton staff, in order to maintain operation of the outfit itself. So this is one of the
Sekejap, doktor. Maaf, sekejap saya terpaksa keluar sekarang. Minta maaf. Jumpa lagi lain kali. Mungkin boleh invite saya lagi lain kali. Saya ada another webinar program untuk online. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Good luck with SS Tulis.
Alright.
Take care. Stay healthy. Okay.
Ashraf cakap sikit, Ashraf cakap sikit.
Mana Ashraf?
Mana Ashraf?
Ashraf mana? Takkan masak kot.
Ashraf, can you share your experience? Because
Prof, SS Perlis tu Encik Azman Yusof
Ya, Tuan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Siapa kenal dia?
Maybe some of our friends, any of our friends here who has, spouse working as frontliners, maybe you can share your experience during this MCO. What does it affect you in terms of, managing your time and whatnot at home, which related to this organizational behavior design? Anyone can share? Ashraf, are you there, Ashraf?
Yeah, I'm there, but I'm not ready to share.
We understand your challenges. Good luck. We are with you.
Dr. Kiden?
Yes, come on.
I would like to share McKinsey words that saying changes made with the support of these influential employees are vastly more likely to succeed in the long run than changes delivered from on high. How do we try to admit or we try to blend this word in our situation right now?
Well, basically, you can tie it to the three freezing, unfreezing, moving, and freezing. Right? Now, which part is McKinsey referring to right now? To get the commitment of employees, you must prepare employees for change, right? And in order to prepare them for change, you must be able to sell the change. And once that they believe that the change is important for them, and they are already, they buy into the plan, they are engaged with the change. And as such, change will become much more easier because you have their support. Remember, number one, you are not going to be going against them. What we learn in the last presentation, I suppose. People who are resistant to change, right? Why would people resist? Now, there are lots of things that make them resistant, right? And one is that they don't understand what it means to them. Now, right now, for example, if you look at MCO, some companies have been able to influence or convince their employees to take up to 30% pay cut and even 50% pay cut. Now, according to the law, you cannot cut or you cannot, what's the word? You cannot deduct of your employees unless they consent to it. Now, getting the consent is to be able to sell them the idea of taking a pay cut. Now, why would they not resist? Because they understand the situation. The company is not making money, and when the company is not making money, then if they don't take a pay cut, then the company will close. right? So this is a matter of selling. And in fact, this is the part of unfreezing the employees. So maybe that, if you look at it, that is possibly one way we can apply what McKinsey says to change processes. Is that okay?
Okay, Prof, because I see this will be a new norm to a civil service that after they maybe if the MCO stay continue, we have to work from home. But before this, we having no experience working from home using technology, using virtual meeting, and then some of the needs might be different from another department with another departments. So it will be a very good challenge for us actually.
Yes, indeed. This, in fact, is what part of what Dr. Mazrina said just now. COVID-19 has its own, I say, in a way, its own advantages in that it forces us to look at new ways of doing things that we have taken for granted all this while, things that we thought was the only way, this was the only way to do work, because there was no push factor for us to change. And this is an external element that made us change, that forced us, that we have no other choice to do work in a different way, right? So, yes. And like you said, yes, we are now getting used to the idea of working from home. There will be hiccups. We need to adjust things. For example, last time we may work, there will be no restrictions to time that we have meetings, for example. But now we know that we can organize things better. The whole idea is to work towards a much more efficient way of working from home. And we are learning because we are being pushed into it. I think that is one of the advantages or one of the positive that we can take from this pandemic.
Yeah.
Dr. Hisham, you have anything to add?
Okay,
Yeah.
not at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to say something just now.
Oh, I've said actually, I just would like to share the achievement of Dr. Mazrina being the when she did her PhD, Dr. Gideon was her supervisor, and I believe she managed to complete within 3 years.
Yes.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years, and won one of the best dissertation in UPM. Yeah.
She's a star, definitely. I think she is very hardworking in that sense. So Hisham, I, and Dr. Mazrina have been friends since then, because it was Dr. Hisham who actually brought Dr. Mazrina to do her PhD at UPM. So we are friends ever since. Thank you, Dr. Hisham.
All right, thank you. So thank you for today's session.
It was a good session. So we'll discuss
Hisham.
on the next session. See, I think we can work. Of course, Dr. Hisham, if you are inclined to, you're always invited.
All right.
I know you're busy, despite people thinking that because we are home that you have nothing to do. Of course, you probably have more things to do now.
Okay.
So whenever you have the spare time, join us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any final words? So we'll sort out the next class on our WhatsApp group. Okay?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hisham. 2 thumbs up.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
Thank you,
day.
Dr. Hisham.
Safe.
Betul.
Thank you.
Is there any
Wah, sekarang ni baru semua nak tunjuk muka ya. Next time.
ada perubahan apa?
Ya, Doktor.
Malu lah, malu.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, take care.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, don't go out and get arrested, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, stay home, stay safe.
Stay home.
Prof.
Yes.
Okay, regarding on the presentation just now, should we cancel or just continue or what?
Should you what?
Regarding on the presentation from our group just now,
Okay.
should we proceed or you want to dismiss the class?
Yes, you can close it because now we also have that on WhatsApp, right?
Okay.
All right, good.
All right.
So what I'll try to do, I've recorded this. I'll try to figure out how I can put it on YouTube, and then from YouTube I can link it through the Putra Blast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Prof.
Prof, on behalf of our group, I would like to terribly sorry for the inconvenience for
No
the
problem at all.
line, the worst line.
We are learning we are learning a new tool. Right?
Okay,
So,
Prof.
in fact, this is a change.
Okay,
New
Prof.
norm, Prof.
New norm.
A new norm.
This is the interesting part of the MCO, I suppose. So later on, we'll probably be just conduct. We'll find out that hey, we don't need to go to class. Remember, I said in the beginning, in the first class, that we may in the future we may not need to be physically present at class. So it is happening.
Yes, this is good.
In fact, it's good.
Yes,
Right?
I agree.
Okay then. Bye-bye.
Okay, Prof.
You may leave.
Prof.
Bye.
Bye. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Prof.
Bye, Prof. Bye, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Hisham, thank you.
Thank you all. Selamat berbuka.
Thank you.
Sama-sama. Jangan makan banyak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Kiden, for your first try Zoom meeting.
Yes, it was good. I think we can get used to this.
Thank you.
Get used to this. I think did you find it useful, Lokman?
Very good, Prof. It's a new challenge.
Yeah.
New norm.
It's a new. I mean, we don't have that close interaction like we used to, but we'll get used to this. Maybe in the future I'll have to impose that everyone show their face, so that we can have better communication. Right now, most people are not keen to go on video, but I think video is important in the sense that we can gauge what each other's thoughts are, and I think teaching will be much more effective there.
Maybe they shy to view their hunger faces, Prof.
It's good. I think everyone looks better staying at home and during this Ramadan.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm leaving.
Thanks, Sam.
Smile Zohor.
Oh yeah. Thanks,
Yep.
Sam.
Okay.
I much appreciate.
Bye, Doctor.
Very good.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
I have to wait for everyone to leave, then only I can leave. So if you have any more questions, please feel free. I'll be around. I'll be here. For those from China, I suppose if you don't understand what you don't understand, of course, what Dr. Mazrina said, we will discuss it later on the WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, just have a put up the questions, and then we'll all answer it. Any of you have any questions? We can talk here also. Well, they're still on, but yeah. All right, I'm going to end the meeting now. Bye, everyone.